Hi everyone. I wasn't actually planning on making a video today, but then I saw how wonderfully misty and foggy the weather is, and I just had to at least get it on video. No idea what I'm going to talk about, but hey, let's just enjoy this beautiful misty, foggy autumnal day. I suppose there's one thing somebody asked about in my comment section last week, and quite a few of you have mentioned how much you appreciate seeing Warsaw in these videos of mine, and maybe I could talk a little bit about my experiences in Poland, because a few people have asked me about that as well. So I think I'll talk about my first experience here, and it's kind of funny now that I'm a few years down the line after the fact. At the time it didn't feel that funny, but I guess it's healthy to look back and laugh at these things. So I arrived in Poland for the first time in September 2000 and goodness, 2005? That seems like such a long time ago, but it was June 2005. Previously, I'd been working in Korea for a year, where I'd been teaching English in a private hagwon. It's a private language school or a private school, and that was really good. I realized that I really like teaching. Teaching is something I could see myself doing a little bit more in the future, and so I wanted to continue with that. But I also realized that my time in Korea threw up the realization in me that I was hopeless at this particular thing. I needed to get some qualifications and training. So I spent a month in London doing a CELTA. If you know what that is, it's the basic English teaching to adults qualification. And as I was doing that, because it's quite intense, I started applying to jobs actually in Europe, because I'd spent a year in Asia, and I felt, well, let's spend a year in Europe or sometime in Europe, because it'd be nice, you know. And I had these kind of visions of going to Italy or Spain or France, and maybe staying somewhere on the coast in a small town teaching English to people in these little places. But I found that those particular countries, they were reluctant or unable to actually give me a concrete job offer, and I didn't really want to risk going to another country just because maybe I might be offered a job. So I stuck it out and I waited until I got an actual offer, and I got offered a position in Poland. And I thought to myself, well, what do I actually know about Poland? Basically nothing. I don't know anything about the country, nothing about the people. And that's kind of what I got into teaching in the first place for, to explore new cultures. So I applied for this job in Poland, and they got back to me and they said, yeah, we'll give you a job. You'll get a contract and you'll be teaching in a place called Wrocław. And so I thought, that's grand. Where should I book some flights to? And they said, wherever. So I said, oh, okay, I'll book some flights to Warsaw and you can sort me out, I suppose. They said, yes, we'll meet you at the airport, everything will be fine. So I flew to Warsaw, and actually there's two airports in Warsaw. There's the one in the center, Chopin Airport, which is the big main airport, and it's practically in the center of the city. It takes about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to actually drive in if there's no traffic. And there's another one called Modlin, which is over an hour away almost. It sits in the middle of nowhere, and obviously that's the one that I went to. And so I arrived at this tiny airport. There was literally nobody else there because I flew on a Sunday, and the person who was supposed to collect me was nowhere to be seen. So I thought, that's not good. Because I was fully expecting somebody to be there, you know, with my name on a sign, and they'd whisk me away to my final destination. So all I could do was just kind of stay put, stay in this place, and hope that this guy will show up. Now, luckily, I had the phone number to this company, and I called them thinking, well, they're not going to answer because it's Sunday, and I know Sundays are non-working days. So we'll see. But they did answer. I told them where I was. They said the guy should be here. I agreed wholeheartedly. Yes, he should be here. And all I could do was just sit and wait in the arrivals lounge of Modlin Airport. And after a while, after about an hour, I saw some guy kind of frantically wandering around asking people questions, and I assumed that was my guy. So I made myself known to him, and he said, okay, off we go to Wrocław. Now, obviously, I knew nothing about Poland at the time, and I didn't know anything about the geography of Poland. So I assumed, which was probably a fair assumption to make, that Wrocław was a suburb of Warsaw. It would be, you know, maybe an hour's drive at most, because when I was living in Korea, everything was pretty close. Like, I lived in Incheon, and Incheon Airport is super close to where I was working then. So I thought it would be something similar. And besides, I told them I was flying to Warsaw. So, you know, if this wasn't the place to be, they probably would have told me. So we got in this guy's car, a little, I don't know, a little Opel, let's say a Vauxhall something or other, and we started driving and driving and driving and driving, and I didn't realize Wrocław was a city on the other side of the country altogether, and he was driving me there. It was a good 6-hour drive, because this is, as well, was before Poland had the network of motorways that it currently has connecting major cities with each other. So we were driving over literal cobble streets on our way to my final destination, and I thought, well, this is an unusual introduction to the country, but at least I get to see some of the country on this journey. So it was kind of an interesting experience. And on the way as well, he informed me that actually they've also forgotten to arrange my accommodation, because apparently they'd forgotten that I was arriving. So he frantically made some calls in a local newspaper asking me if I wanted to share accommodation or if I wanted to live by myself. I'm not really up for sharing, which is ironic given what happened the following year. And yeah, so he found me a place at the absolute last minute. So eventually we arrive in Wrocław, and he took me to this flat, to where I supposed to be staying, for my academic year contract. And we went down, and it was basically a converted coal cellar. It was in the basement of this block of flats, and it was a weirdly long, narrow room, just one room, with a separate, I can't call it a bathroom, it was a cupboard with a shower and a toilet. When I sat on the toilet, I had to poke my legs through the door because I wouldn't fit in the room otherwise. And yeah, that's what I had. And it had a bed, it had a cooker, it had a sink, it had a cupboard, and that was basically the lot. There was no heater, there was no kettle, there was no amenities or anything like that, no television, of course. And I didn't know what to make of it, because of course this is my first day in Poland and I have no idea what the general living standards are. I didn't want to offend anybody by saying, the hell is this? I can't stay here. There's not even a heater. And I was like, yeah, it looks fine. I mean, also bear in mind, I'd just been traveling for about 15 hours. So I didn't really want to do anything other than just sort of sit down and just decompress. So I signed the contract, paid a deposit for this place, and I surveyed my kingdom. It turns out as well that the fuse system for this domicile couldn't support more than 3 electrical items at once. So because the hob was electric, that meant I could heat my food, I could have the heater on, but I couldn't I couldn't like boil the kettle, so I couldn't have a cup of tea with my dinner. I had to wait until I had to turn off the heater to boil the kettle. It was ludicrous. I kept blowing the fuse, and the fuse box was outside of the flat. So when I did that, I'd have to go outside, go around the corner and trip the fuse so that I could actually then have lights on in my pokey basement flat. It was all a little bit rubbish to say the least. Anyway, so I went to meet my future boss the following day, and she seemed really nice. She seemed super nice, and company itself was quite okay. It was a kind of a small school in Warsaw, and it seemed alright, the staff seemed alright, but the problem was they didn't give me enough hours to cover the cost of living. So there I was in this completely new country, broke, and with no like money through this company I was working for to pay for stuff, in a flat that was tiny with no heating and no electricity. It was all a bit much. And I mean, maybe you wouldn't be surprised if I told you that I just ran away, but I didn't. I stuck it out. I moved out of that flat after about 4 months, much to the annoyance of the landlord. They threatened to sue me. It was like, what are you going to sue me for? I gave them enough notice for leaving, so there was nothing much they could do about it. And I stayed with that school for the whole academic year. I got some more classes, so financially, eventually I was okay. And it was okay. It was all right. And then the following year, in 2006, that's when I moved to Warsaw. But it wasn't actually Warsaw that I moved to. It was a town called Warmianki, which is a little town outside of Warsaw. I seem to struggle. It's like I want to live in Warsaw, and each time I'm like, not in Warsaw. It's quite funny. And I'm not going to go into too much detail with that story, but basically that was me house sharing with like 5 or 6 other teachers, which is an absolute fucking nightmare, I tell you. Don't share houses with TEFL teachers. We're the worst. So yeah, that was my early Poland experience, and it's kind of funny because I guess through that sort of adversity I learned to appreciate the country. But I think one thing that I really appreciated is, I've been here for almost 20 years on and off. I haven't lived constantly in Poland since then. I've been, I've gone back to Asia, I've gone to the Middle East, and I've seen the country develop. Like the place where I first lived in Warsaw, it used to just have this giant mud pit essentially, which has been turned into like this big shopping mall. And as I say, now they have motorways, they have infrastructure. There's been so much investment in the country. It's been wonderful to see it grow and thrive. And I think sometimes Polish people kind of miss that. But, by the same token, with that growth and with that prosperity has come an openness as well, which has allowed me to do what I'm doing now. Which, has certain growing pains. And you can see that while progress is taking place, it's slow and faces some resistance, but that's human nature, that's to be expected, so it is what it is. So how did you like this? It's a different kind of topic, I suppose. I don't often talk about non-trans things on this channel, but maybe you might like to hear a little bit more about some of my experiences, maybe about my time in Korea, should I say, I was there twice, or my other travels as well, or anything else. I don't know. I mean, I quite enjoyed making this because I think it's a funny little story. It's a weird little anecdote that might shine a bit of light on who I am. And if you enjoyed this, let me know. And if there's anything more, if you heard a little morsel of a detail that you'd like me to expand on, let me know in the comments section. Thank you very much to the commenter who suggested that asked that I tell this particular story. So I hope that the rest of you watching have had some inspiration from this and will follow suit. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Take care. Goodbye.